You have all probably heard of Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King.
I have a dream.
But have you heard of Daisy Bates, Philip Randolph, Viola Greg Liuzzo, and Ella Baker? If you haven't, you should, because they are among the U.S. civil rights activists worth knowing about. And here's why. Daisy Bates. Stone this time, Dynamite Next read a note tied to a stone that broke a window in Daisy Bates' home. An activist who fought for an end to segregation on buses, in libraries, and public schools. Her most remarkable effort was to integrate black pupils into an all-white school in Little Rock, Arkansas. In 1954, when the Supreme Court called for an end to racially segregated schools, Bates recruited 9 black kids, ready to face potential racism, insults, and attacks, to be the first group of black children to attend all-white Central High. After several failed attempts to get into the school, and a promise made by Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus that blood will run in the streets if the black students entered, the group known as the Little Rock Nine won, and Central High was integrated. Philip Randolph, organizing a rally against the poor living conditions of coastal steamship workers, was one of Philip Randolph's first fights for black workers' rights. Randolph knew what it was to be a poorly paid black worker. During his studies, he had been an elevator operator, a porter, and a waiter. The low wages of black people motivated him to work on a magazine advocating for higher pay. Randolph is also known for leading the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the first African-American union, affiliated with the American Federation of Labor. One of his biggest wins was leading the March on Washington movement in 1941, which led to President Roosevelt issuing Executive Order 8802, banning discrimination in the U.S. defense industries. After World War II, the movement led to President Truman's order to desegregate the Army. Biola Greg Liuzzo. White and killed for fighting for black people's rights, Viola Greg Liuzzo couldn't stand by and watch the injustice, so she joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. TV broadcasts from Selma, Alabama, a place where state troopers attacked 600 marchers, made Liuzzo answer Martin Luther King's call to join the march to the state's capital, Montgomery. It was a pivotal event in the civil rights movement to secure the rights of African Americans to vote. Liuzzo was helping drive black people from one place to another when she was caught and killed by the Ku Klux Klan. They later admitted they'd been looking for her all day. Ella Baker. Perhaps the most influential woman in the civil rights movement, Ella Baker worked mostly behind the scenes. She was largely influenced by her grandma, who had been a slave. Baker herself had been whipped for refusing to agree to an arranged marriage. She played a major role in 3 of the 20th century's most influential civil rights groups: the NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, all of which were organizations dominated mostly by men. Baker was also part of the Workers' Education Project, established during President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal. She taught courses in consumer education, labor history, and African history, and protested Italy's invasion of Ethiopia. She was also a mentor to Rosa Parks. Who else from the civil rights movement inspires you?